Imagine one night you lose everything. The one you love turns away. Your job disappears. Your friends go silent. No one knocks on your door to warn you. Life just smashes you in the face and leaves you sitting in the dark, gasping for air, asking yourself, why me? The brutal truth is this. Life doesn't care how many nights you've cried, how many times you've collapsed. It doesn't come to comfort you. It comes to test you, and when the blow lands, most people shatter. They reach for alcohol, for social media, for a comforting embrace. But Machiavelli would say, the world does not reward the weak. It only respects those who rise from the ashes. Hearing this, ask yourself, if you lost everything tonight, what would you choose? To live in comfort or to step into control? The moment you think it's over is actually the beginning, because only when everything disappears do you finally meet your true self. Remember the Roman general who lost his entire family in war. He could have collapsed, but instead he stood tall, hiding his tears so his legion wouldn't fall apart. That wasn't coldness. It was iron discipline. And it was that discipline that made him remembered as a leader, not a broken man. Have you ever thought that time doesn't really heal wounds? Time only gives you two choices. Either let the wound keep bleeding or forge it into steel that sharpens your mind. Healing is not about forgetting. It's about staring straight at the scar and asking, what is this training me for? So ask yourself, will you continue living as a victim, or will you rise as the ruler of your own mind? If you truly feel this, write it down right now. Pain sharpens my power. When was the last time pain forged you? Because once you turn collapse into discipline and pain into rebirth, no force in this world will ever be able to break you again. Have you noticed that whenever people get hurt, they usually run to seek comfort? Some bury themselves in loud music. Some drown in a bitter glass of alcohol. Some can't let go of their phone, scrolling for hours just to forget the fire burning inside. Comfort, that temporary ease. It paralyzes you with the illusion that you're fine. But the brutal truth is this. Comfort is the trap that kills greatness. The weak always run to comfort. They beg for sympathy. They want to hear the words, it's okay, this will pass. But what really passes, the opportunity for them to grow. The strong are different. They don't seek comfort. They seek control. Imagine a boxer knocked down in the ring. The weak will sit on the floor, waiting for arms to console them. But the strong will rise. Eyes bloodshot, bleeding, but fists clenched tight. They don't need someone to lift them up. They need control. And it is that control that allows them to survive the next punch. In the modern world, comfort wears more subtle disguises. A single click to open Netflix, a bag of snacks at midnight, a string of meaningless messages to someone who no longer loves you. You call it relief, but in reality, you're just avoiding. And every time you choose comfort, you give away a piece of your mental power. When you don't control your mind, someone else will control it for you. Let me ask you, in the past week, how many times did you choose comfort over control? And how much power did you lose because of it? If you want to be different, you must train. When pain strikes, don't run for distraction immediately. Sit down and write 3 things you're feeling. When you crave comfort, pause for exactly 60 seconds. In those 60 seconds, breathe deeply and ask, do I truly need this, or am I just running away? And each morning, write down one single line. Today, I choose control, not comfort. It may sound simple, but try for 7 days. You will notice you're no longer the same. Instead of reacting out of habit, you begin to control your reflexes. And that is a dividing line between a fragile mind and a mind that cannot be broken. Machiavelli once said, the highest form of power is not ruling others, but ruling yourself. When you control your emotions, you separate yourself from the weak majority. You become dangerous because no one can manipulate you with emotional games. Here's your challenge. In the next 24 hours, watch yourself closely. The moment you seek comfort, stop and write down one single line. Comfort kills growth. Control builds power. From this moment on, pain is no longer the enemy, but an ally in the path of forging mental strength. Have you ever let emotions control every decision you make? One insult makes you lose your temper. One unanswered text keeps you awake all night. And then you realize emotions held the reins, and you were just a horse being dragged along. The truth is this: you are not weak because you got hurt. You are only weak when you let emotions steal your clarity. The moment you hand power to your emotions, you become the easiest prey. Others know exactly which button to press, which word to use to make you explode, the moment you will collapse. Stop for 1 second and ask yourself, in the past week, has anyone pressed the right emotional button to manipulate you? Machiavelli saw this clearly 500 years ago. He wrote that a ruler cannot let the heart lead because emotion is a knife at the throat of power. Whoever lets emotion take control surrenders their crown to someone else. But turning into a lifeless stone is not the solution. What you need is emotional discipline. You still feel, still hurt, still grieve, but you don't react immediately. You place yourself behind the wheel, not the storm inside. Look at a general who lost his son on the battlefield. The entire army waited for him to collapse. But instead of weeping before thousands of soldiers, he stood firm, lifted his head high, and commanded them to march forward. He knew if emotion surfaced, the legion would crumble, and that price was too great to pay for a single moment of weakness. Or in modern life, an entrepreneur steps onto a stage after losing millions in business. The weak will cry, apologize, or blame, but the strong speak calmly. We have a plan. This is the next step. That composure makes them trusted, feared, and respected. Try these 3 strategies. The 5-second rule. Whenever you're about to explode, pause exactly 5 seconds and ask, does this reaction serve my interests or only my emotions? Let tears fall, but only behind closed doors. Out there, you are disciplined. And whenever you want to argue, write this down. If I stay silent now, they lose control. Remember this. People will call you cold when you no longer react the way they want. They'll say you've changed, that you're no longer predictable. But that is not loss. That is power. Your silence will confuse them. Your calmness will disorient them. And your discipline will strip them of every weapon to control you. If you are truly ready to step into this level, carve it deep as a mark. My control is my revenge. From this moment on, you no longer prove yourself with screams. You prove yourself with cold silence. But this is only the outer layer, because there is a battlefield even more dangerous. Not the emotions that flare up instantly, but the story you are telling yourself. If you don't learn to rewrite it, you will remain forever the victim in someone else's novel. There is a brutal truth. Most people are not truly destroyed by the event itself, but by the story they tell themselves afterward. A betrayed lover whispers, I am not worthy of love. A man who fails at work repeats, life is always against me. And over the years, the story they repeat turns into destiny. Machiavelli once wrote, power does not lie in truth, but in how you control perception. If you wear the label of a victim, do not be surprised when the world treats you only as a failure. Look at an entrepreneur who went bankrupt at 30. He could brand himself a failure, avoiding risk for the rest of his life. But instead, he chose to tell a different story. I just learned $1 million lesson that most people take a lifetime to understand. Rewriting his story gave him the strength to rise, build a new company, and become a millionaire. The same event, but 2 entirely different outcomes. And what about you? What story are you telling yourself? The story of someone abandoned, or the story of a warrior being forged? Try this simple exercise. Every time you face a crisis, write 3 lines. 1, what happened? 2, what I learned. 3, who I will become because of it. Erase from your inner dictionary the words, why me? And replace them with, what is this preparing me for? And when someone asks about failure, don't say, I went bankrupt. Say, I am learning how to rebuild from zero. Same data. But when you change the tone, you change your destiny. People will try to remind you of the past to keep you trapped in the same old box. They will say, I remember the day you collapsed. Smile, because they are speaking to a version of you that has been dead for a long time. The one sitting here now is someone else. Colder, sharper, far more dangerous. Stop and ask yourself, are you the one allowing the past to survive? Every time you call yourself a victim, You are feeding the wound instead of burying it. If you are ready to close the old chapter, engrave this declaration into your memory. I kill the old me. I walk as a weapon. Once you erase the victim role, you don't just rewrite the story, you rewrite the future. But be careful, because the moment you escape the shadow of the past, another enemy will appear. It is not loud, not violent. It is sweet, seductive, and more dangerous than any wound. That enemy is emotional attachment. There is an enemy more dangerous than pain itself. It doesn't strike like a sudden blow, nor crash down like a storm. It comes softly, sweetly, making you believe you're happy. But in truth, it is turning your power into chains. That enemy is attachment. Think about it. How many times have you lost your peace just because someone didn't reply to a message? How many times have you begged to hold on to a toxic relationship simply because you feared emptiness? How many times have you clung to a title or a job that was never truly yours? Imagine a bird soaring through the sky, but its leg is tied with a thin string. It believes it is free until it discovers that just one small tug can pull it down. That is you when you are attached to the wrong thing. Machiavelli once wrote, "A ruler must know when to hold and when to release." Power is not in how much you grasp, but in whether you dare to cut away at the right time. Look at the man betrayed, yet still clinging. He says, "I cannot live without her." But the truth is, he is not living for love. He is living in fear. Fear of emptiness. Fear of being unseen. Fear of starting over. And that fear has made him a slave. In modern times, attachment takes many forms. Attachment to the gaze of others, to likes on social media, to fragile validation. You think you are free, but a single word of criticism can drag you into hell. Here's the way out. Write down 3 people or 3 things that stir your emotions the most. Then ask yourself, if I lost them, would I still be me? If the answer is no, it means you are chained. After that, try living one day without them. No messages begging for attention. No posts begging for validation. Just silence and observation. You will realize you don't collapse. You just began to break free. And when someone threatens to leave, don't beg. Open the door. If they want to go, let them, because what truly belongs to you will never need to be held by fear. People will say you are cold when you stop clinging. Let them talk. You are not cold. You have simply understood. Anything that controls your emotions owns you, and you were not born to be owned. Ask yourself right now, what are you holding on to only because you fear losing it? Does it truly nourish you, or does it drain you day by day? If you see it clearly, engrave this as your declaration. Attachment is weakness. I choose control. The moment you release those sweet chains, you don't just live, you begin to rule. And only when you are brave enough to let go will you be strong enough to enter an even harsher realm. Voluntary isolation, the place where true kings are forged out of darkness. They will tell you that loneliness is failure, that silence means you've been abandoned, that the emptiness around you is a sign of weakness. But the truth is different. Most people fear being alone, because in silence they are forced to face themselves. If you want to become untouchable, you must learn to step into the darkness where there is no one left to lean on. This is not punishment. It is training. Imagine a sword. It is never forged in the light, but in fire and in darkness. So it is with human beings. Remember Machiavelli during his years of exile. He lost power, lost position, was cast out from the court. By day, he worked the fields like a nameless man. But when night fell, he put on his robe, sat at his desk, and conversed with the great minds who have been dead for centuries. In isolation, he wrote The Prince, the book that made his name immortal. Without that solitude, the world would never have known Machiavelli. Or look at the present. Elon Musk once slept on the factory floor of Tesla, cutting out all luxury, cutting out the noise of society. He chose isolation to pour every ounce of energy into one thing, building what no one believed was possible. It was in those lonely nights that he forged the strategies that shocked the world. And you? Do you fear loneliness? Or do you fear the truth about yourself that will surface when no one is there to shield you? Try this exercise each day. Spend at least 2 hours with no phone, no music, no one around, just you and your mind. Write down every thought, even the ugliest ones. This is not punishment. It is training. And once a week, choose one full day to cut yourself off completely. No meetings, no posts, no messages. Let the silence cook you. If you feel restless, it means you have just discovered your own chains. People will notice you appear less, speak less, share less. They will whisper that you've changed. Let them. When you return, you will no longer be the version they once knew. You will be someone else colder, sharper, beyond their reach. If you are ready to walk into the land few dare to enter, engrave this line. I train in silence. I return with power. It is in silence that kings are forged. Not in applause, not in loud gatherings, but in the dark rooms where no one is watching. And once you have learned to endure isolation, a higher art will unfold before you, turning pain into strategic weaponry, turning every wound into data that keeps you always one step ahead. Do you realize that pain does not come only to torture you? It comes to teach you. Yet, most people never learn from pain. They react on instinct. They scream. They complain. They blame. They get swallowed by emotions. And in that very moment, they lose. Machiavelli was different. He looked at pain as a map. Every wound is a marker. Every betrayal a coordinate. Every failure a code. And if you are cold enough to read it, you will see pain as the most valuable data for building strategy. Imagine a fighter knocked down. The weak will cry, blame the coach, and quit. But the true fighter will review every punch, every opening, every second of lost focus. He turns failure into a lesson plan, so no one can ever defeat him the same way again. That is the art of turning pain into deadly precision. In the modern world, a startup may collapse in 6 months. The founder might tell himself, I'm not good enough. But if he coldly asks, what weakness caused my failure? Then next time he returns sharper without repeating the same mistake. And you, are you playing chess with pain, or are you still playing the predictable game of emotions? To turn pain into strategy, treat it as data. When someone betrays you, write what signal did I ignore. When a plan collapses, don't ask, why me? Ask, what weakness was exposed? And after every crisis, make a list. Next time, I will never repeat this mistake again. The wounds that keep repeating in your life are sending you a message. The old partner betrayed you. Then the new one betrayed you too. The old boss disrespected you. Then the new one does the same. It is not fate cursing you. It is life reminding you you haven't learned the lesson yet. Here is a simple but powerful ritual. After every painful event, instead of running to comfort, sit down and write 3 lines. 1, what hurt me? 2, what weakness it exposed? 3, how I will strike back next time. This is how pain becomes a weapon. This is how you turn chaos into a map. When you master this, you begin to see what others cannot. You read situations. You anticipate before mistakes repeat. You look at people and already know what they will do. That is not a sixth sense. It is strategic memory forged in blood and tears. If you truly understand this, carve it into your mind as a declaration. I no longer react. I reposition. Because the one who turns pain into strategy will never repeat the same failure twice. But this is still not the end. Because beyond your own wounds, there are arrows far more dangerous. Poison arrows shot through the emotions of others. And if you don't build immunity, all your strategies will collapse. Do you realize that the world rarely takes you down with swords or weapons? It defeats you with invisible daggers aimed straight at your emotions. One small insult is enough to break your composure. One cold glance can steal your sleep. One unanswered message can keep you restless all night. This is how people are controlled, not through violence, but through subtle stabs into the mind. Be honest. How many times have you lost your energy because of one meaningless comment? How many times have you given away an entire day to a single look of contempt? Machiavelli once warned, a ruler cannot let the heart lead because others will use those emotions as chains to drag him down. If you want to be untouchable, you must learn emotional immunity. Immunity does not mean numbness. It means you see, you hear, you still feel, but nothing can pierce the steel core within you. Imagine a fortress of steel. Arrows may strike from the outside, but they cannot break the walls. Inside, the fire still burns, but no one can breach it. That is the immune mind. Think of a CEO under heavy attack. In a meeting, the weak will lash out, argue, or make impulsive decisions.